Good morning and welcome to the Daily Meditation Bible. Today is February the 5th, 2024, and I'm Joel Miller, and we are reading through the complete Bible in a year, and it's good to be with you this morning. I consider it a true honor that we can walk through the scriptures each day together. The scriptures are clear. Blessed is the man, blessed is the woman who meditates on the scriptures day and night, and they shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of living water, which allows us really to grow our hearts, engage our hearts, and really impact our families. And we're going to go straight to the scripture reading this morning, and then after the reading, I look forward to just connecting with you for a couple of minutes after we complete our reading for today. We are reading from the English Standard Version, and today's reading is coming from Exodus, the 21st chapter, beginning in verse 22 through chapter 23, verse 13. And then in the New Testament, the Gospel according to Mathew, chapter 24, verses 1 through 28. We're also going to be reading from Psalms, chapter 29, verses 1 through 11. And finally, Proverbs, chapter 7, verses 6 through 23. Our reading today begins in Exodus, chapter 21, verse 22. When men strive together and hit a pregnant woman so that her child comes out, but there is no harm, the one who hit her shall surely be fined, as the woman's husband shall impose on him, and he shall pay as the judge determines. But if there is harm, then you shall pay life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. When a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, and destroys it, he shall let the slave go free because of his eye. If he knocks out the tooth of a slave, male or female, he shall let the slave go free because of his tooth. When an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall not be liable. But if the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner has been warned but has not kept it in, and it kills a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. If a ransom is imposed on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is imposed on him. If it gores a man's son or daughter, he shall be dealt with according to this same rule. If the ox gores a slave, male or female, the owner shall give to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. When a man opens a pit, when a man digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make restoration. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead beast shall be his. And when the man's ox butts another so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and share its price, and the dead beast also shall share. Or if it is known that the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner has not kept it in, he shall repay ox for ox, and the dead beast shall be his. If a man steals an ox or a sheep, or kills it, or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox, or 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun has risen on him, there shall be blood guilt for him. He shall surely pay. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the stolen beast is found alive in his possession, whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall pay double. If a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns, so that the stacked grain or the standing grain or the field is consumed, he who started the fire shall make restitution. If a man gives to his neighbor money or goods to keep safe, and it is stolen from the man's house, then if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house shall come near to God to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. For every breach of trust, whether it is for an ox, or for a donkey, or for a sheep, or for a cloak, for any kind of lost thing of which one says, "This is it," the case of both parties shall come before God. The one whom God condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man gives to his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep safe, and it dies or is injured or is driven away without anyone seeing it, an oath by the Lord shall be between them both to see whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. The owner shall accept the oath, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to its owner. If it is torn by a beast, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn. If a man borrows anything of his neighbor, and it is injured or dies, the owner, not being with it, shall make full restitution. If the owner was with it, he shall not make restitution. If it was hired, it came for its hiring fee. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall give the bride price for her and make her his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the bride price for virgins. You shall not permit a sorceress to live. Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. You shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I surely hear their cry, and my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. And your wives shall become widows and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people with you who is poor, you shall not be like a moneylender to him. You shall not exact interest from him. If ever you take your neighbor's cloak in pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun goes down. For that is his only covering, and it is his cloak for his body, and what else shall he sleep? And if he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. You shall not revile God, nor curse a ruler of your people. You shall not delay to offer from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your sons shall be given to me. You shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with its mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. You shall be consecrated to me. Therefore you shall not eat any flesh that is torn by beast in the field. You shall not throw it to dogs. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with the wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not fall in with the many to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit siding with the many so as to pervert justice, nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his lawsuit. If you meet your enemy's ox on his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in his lawsuit. Keep far from a false charge, and do not kill the innocent and righteous. For I will not acquit the wicked, and you shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. You shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather its yield, but the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field may eat. You shall do likewise with your vineyards and with your olive orchard. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, that your oxen and your donkey may have rest, and the son of your servant woman and the alien may be refreshed. Pay attention to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on your lips. In the New Testament reading from the book of Mathew, beginning in chapter 24, verse 1. Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. But he answered them, You see all these, do you not? Truly I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the signs of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Jesus answered them, "See that no one leads you astray, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and they will lead many astray. And you will hear of wars and rumors of war, and see that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nations will rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will rise and lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is in the housetop not go down to take what is in the house. And let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak. And alas, for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infant in those days, pray that your flight might not be in winter or on a Sabbath. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now, nor and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then, if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Christ," or "There he is," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. So if they say to you, "Look, he is in the wilderness," do not go out. If they say, "Look, he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the corpse is, the vultures will gather. Reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 29, verses 1 through 11. Ascribe to the Lord, O heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due to his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of his holiness. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord over many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedar. The Lord breaks the cedar of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon to skip like a calf, of Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord flashes forth flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord makes the deer give birth and strips the forest bare, and in his temple all cry glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord sits enthroned as king forever. May the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. And finally, reading Proverbs, the 7th chapter, verses 6 through 23. For at the window of my house I have looked out through my lattice, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youth a young man lacking sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. And behold, the woman meets him. She's dressed as a prostitute, wildly of heart. She is loud and wayward. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the market, and at every corner she lies in wait. She seizes him and kisses him. And with bold face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I've paid my vows. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly. I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings and colored linens from Egypt linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us have our fill of love till morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not home, and he has gone on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him. At full moon he will come home. With much seductive speech she persuades him. With her smooth talk she compels him. All at once he follows her. As an oxen goes to the slaughter, or as a stag is caught fast, till an arrow pierces its liver, as a bird rushes into a snare, he does not know it will cost him his life. Well, my brothers and sisters, it's interesting. We're seeing in the Old Testament the formation of a culture. We are dealing with the people who have lived as slaves their entire lives. They were born into slavery. That's all they knew. Not only that, but they're nomads. There's no roads. There's no highways. There's no homes. They're nomadic herders. And, there's no police. There's no justice systems. And, I laugh because, you look at our justice system today and it's easy to say that, well, there's still no justice system. And why is that? And that's because, justice is always based on truth. And truth is something that doesn't move. Truth is absolute. It's not based on our feelings. And I'm not saying, obviously feelings are important, but it's not important as it relates to truth. We often hear, well, if it's not hurting anyone, how can that be wrong? But truth is not based on feelings. Truth is truth. Light is light. And we see Father speaking life and light and justice and truth to his people in the Old Testament, and how they should treat one another, how they should relate to him. And Jesus also speaks to the disciples in the New Testament, and he shares with them that the things that they're looking at, the buildings that they see as permanent, they're not permanent at all. They're actually very temporary. He tells them, listen, there's not going to be one stone that's not going to be overthrown, that's not going to be turned over. Jesus also says that, the strife that will linger in the hearts of men and the strife between nations, it must happen. So we shouldn't be surprised when the love for God, even in the church, grows increasingly colder, that our effect in culture becomes more marginal. But in heaven right now, as you and I are listening, in heaven right now, the passion for God burns hot, and it reflects the eternal holy flame, the holy perfect flame of who God is. Hebrews says that God is a consuming fire, but in the earth, if it were not for God, as Jesus said, for cutting the day short, even the very elect would not enter the kingdom of heaven. But you and I, thank goodness, praise God, that you and I are protected, not because we're better, because we're not because we're smarter, because we're not, but because we are serving a merciful God who looks after us and protects us even from ourselves. And he leads us in the path of righteousness, the scripture says, for his name's sake. So I rejoice with you this morning, and that you and I, that our names are written in the Lamb's book of life. Well, listen, my brother and sister, it is such an honor again to be with you today, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow. I love you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.